Good morning everyone, it's Jason Cannon here and I'm with the amazing legend that is Craig Delahoy.
Thank you very much.
And my colleague Ian Cooper. We've got a couple of questions for you, Craig, so thanks for giving up your time.
Absolutely.
Two questions. First question is, if you were starting your own estate agency today, what would you do and how would you do it?
Okay. Well, firstly, I don't think I would go down the route of the high street model, which is what I did back in 1994.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about being on the high street. I think my focus as an agent, whether it be a single agent or with a couple of people working with me, would be heavily focused on database, building that database and getting a core group of people to support the business and work with them and look for them to either use or refer me. The second thing is, as I'm an agent from the 80s, social media, which we're obviously on right now, and internet, etc., wasn't the way I built the first business, so I'd still be very, very focused on my events. Personally, I feel I'm better face to face, so I'd focus on getting myself in front of as many people as possible, which would be attending events, creating events, piggyback it on other people's events that I would take people to. And the third thing, obviously, there's hundreds and hundreds of signboards up with regards to people saying they want to move, so I'd literally go introduce myself, tell them what I'm doing and help them move to their next property if they've already chosen the agent to sell, and should they decide that that agent's not doing what they want it to do, be available to have that conversation with them when the time's right. What I would say is I would love to drive my business through social media, but I'm not talented enough or smart enough to do it. So the first thing I did when I got enough money behind me was pay someone to do my social media, because I believe social media is so important to the modern agent. It's just, it would be pointless me throwing my effort into it because it would be wasted on me doing it. So I'd build my business, create my revenue, and as soon as I could afford it, I would pay someone to drive the business forward through social media.
Good advice. Where do you see the future growth in the UK in terms of estate agency business?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I think as an agent again from the 80s, my choice was either go work for a corporate, go work for a high street independent, or physically open my own shop. I think the young agent now has got so many opportunities how they can either work for someone or grow their own business or grow their own personal brand. And I think there'll be a mix. I think we'll still have high street agents, I think we'll have online agents, I think we'll have bespoke agents, and I think there'll be people like me in the marketplace that are happy to have a team around them, work from an office, but that office doesn't have to be on the high street, and be very much more customer based and get away from driven by fee and high valuations, which doesn't help anybody. So it'd be very much customer based driven, probably less vendors than I was used to when I was working for Prudential back in the 80s. So having less vendors working with.
So a smaller number of listings?
Yeah, but have a more controlled element, not just from a customer service point of view, but actually working more hand in hand with them to actually get them moved. And actually not getting away from the fact that if you're a high street agent with 100 properties and sell 15 a month, the reality is 15 people are paying for everybody else's marketing bill.
Good point.
And if the 85% are not motivated to sell, then the time, resources and effort that that agent would have into 85% of their stock not wanting to sell but just having market share, I'm not sure is the best use of my time or best use of my company pound and pence. So I probably focused on less vendors but more motivated vendors to helping them not just sell, get them moved. Big thing for us is actually getting people moved. Final destination is far more important than the offer on the table.
So I'm just picked up on that. Motivated sellers. Where do we find these people, Craig? How do you find motivated sellers?
Through conversation. Do you mean? So for example, if you go back to the door knocking situation, which nobody loves to door knock, but sometimes it's a lesser of two evils, how do you get to meet these people? I would be inviting people to events, so I had a conversation. So the reality is if you get away from thinking I want every property for sale on my books, no, I want every person that wants to move working with me. So it's conversations with people to talk about what's driving their move, conversations such that, so in this area 400,000, so if I was talking to you, it's like, so if the market told us that your property was closer to 350 than 400, would that change your mind about moving? You're looking to move to a higher price property in a more expensive area, so that's a 250 difference from your price to the next. Is it about selling at 400 and buying at 650, or the 250 budget to keep between? What's most important? So I think if you're asking questions to create curiosity with the seller, the seller will most likely self-discover the right answer. And I prefer to go into this conversation with a seller saying, do you understand all your options to get moved, as against I can list your price and sell it quickly because I'm a great agent.
Okay.
So it's more of a consultation than a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And I think through that consultation, the way I would approach it is, if I did 20 market appraisals in a month, my old mindset was I want to take all 20 and I want to get those contracts signed. My new mindset would be, if it's going to take me 20 appraisals to find 10 sellers I want to work with and they want to work with me, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So it's no longer a conversion rate of me losing 50%, it's finding a fit with the other 50% to get them moved.
Great advice. Thank you, Craig. Last question for you. You're an agent.
Yep.
You've got your own business. You're in Spalding, Lincolnshire.
Yep.
I think if my geography serves me correctly. 90 seconds on why people should, or why people want to live in Spalding. Why is it a great place to buy a property, Craig?
Well, great question. So what brings people to Spalding traditionally? We have very, very low unemployment. So I think there's about 93,000 people live in the greater South Holland area, 30,000 in the town centre. I think on the last numbers we have something like 700 unemployed people claiming benefit. So we have high employment.
Yeah.
We have low prices. We have apartments starting at 65,000.
Wow.
You can get a 3-bed family home for under 200,000. And we have a big high retirement area because we're flat, we're low cost of living, better transport than we've had before. You can get bungalows from 185 to 200 2-beds, and obviously going up to the more executive ones. So it represents good value for money. And certainly at this point we have a very strong rental market. So even though buy-to-lets with the tax changes and everything become less favourable, for certain people, especially people wanting to get on the property ladder from higher priced areas, you can start buying properties at 65, 70,000, which will rent for probably 450, 495. 2-bed houses from 110, which will rent up to say 650, depending on where they are, which means that you're covering your costs while having your foot on property ladder. And we've got steady growth. We don't have a boom and bust in Spalding. So even in the last recession, 2008, our rental market stopped us dropping and dropping. It held it firm at a low discounted rate, which we've grown back. We have a steady rate. Over the last 5 years, the average house, I think, has gone up by about 50 grand. So it's steady growth.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. So if you want to find out a bit more about Craig Delahoy, look him up. He's not actually on social media.
Other than Facebook.
Other than Facebook. You can find Craig on Facebook. He's a great guy. Fantastic advice for agents. So I'd encourage you to